Hello, everybody, and welcome to a literary analysis of Sword Art Online Re-Hollow Fragment. As you can see, I got the first achievement in October 3rd of 2020. 1 year later, I beat the first area. 1 fucking year later, I beat the game. This is a long story in the making. Before we get started with the review, as it will be a long one, I wanted to make clear my intentions. I'm a big fan of the original Sword Art Online anime. At the time it came out, isekai was an infant genre in anime. There were no reincarnated into another world with my smartphone, or reincarnated into another world with as a Samsung smart fridge. It has its flaws inherently with the story, but overall the premise and execution are actually pretty decent. As it was one of my favorite childhood animes, I was heavily interested in playing the games that were adapted to it. I was told beforehand that the games weren't that good or worth playing. So I made a bet with my friend that I would 100% beat the game, then decide. The following is my thorough review of the game in its entirety. There will be things I obviously missed out on, like the actual multiplayer, among other things, as well as doing all the floors of the zone. I forgot what it was called. I haven't played the game in like a year, but I do not feel like they would change my opinion of the game that much because I got a pretty thorough understanding of the game. I would say 95% of the things I did and the things that I didn't do were like they weren't things that would change anything about the mechanics or the depthness. Like I know they exist, I just didn't do them because it added another fucking 100 hours to my 300-hour long playthrough. So I'm just gonna start and say I do not like this game and I do not recommend anybody else play it, even if you are a fan of the SAO series like I am. I gave myself a challenge to 100% this game and every game in this series. While possible, I was completely unaware of the difficulty and time sink of this challenge. Since then, I have been casually playing the game. I was. Sorry, I didn't rewrite the script. I was casually playing this game during classes and slowly chipping away at the massive grind that this game requires to get 100% of everything. The achievements, at least, not the actual game. To put that into perspective, let me give you an example of the tedium of this game. Just to put your mind how fucking much of a grind this is. There are 8 main heroines in the game. Main heroines are basically just NPCs that you can romance. The dog shit romance system doesn't do anything of use other than provide somewhat lewdy CG pictures. Somewhat lewdy. They're in fucking bikinis. Anyways, there's an individual achievement to get 6 of them to max affection, and another to get a 7th. The other achievement doesn't pop for her, but rather after you get all the heroines maxed. So, whatever. This sounds like a regular achievement until you hear the fastest way to do this. The fastest way to max a heroine's level is to talk to her, which entails spamming O or whatever button to talk to her for 2 fucking hours. Yes. 2 hours. Per girl. Per achievement. Save 1. Scratch that. So going back on this script, you need to do it 2 more times. There might be a more efficient way to do this, but it won't shave off that much time at all. Maybe like 30 minutes max if you really sit there and actively play it. But as I don't have the mental capacity to sit there and fucking spam a button for an hour and a half, I put a show in the background and just watch that while I spam circle. But that's this game. That is the best example I can give of the 100% grind that is this game. I never thought I would find a more meaningless grind than Final Fantasy X's Platinum, which I still have not gotten to yet, but there's a review coming on that when I finish it. But this game is not all bad. While I do think it is a poorly made game, system-wise, it has a few specks of gold littered throughout the heaps and mounds of shit. A few things I see myself learning from this experience are an intense level of self-motivation, and finding a way to create my own fun in the game. While a cliche lesson, this game has forced me to do it, else I would have given up on the 100% over a year ago. Overall, if you guys want to do the rating before I get into everything, just for a quick review, actually I'll save this for later. Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment is a remaster of a remaster. The initial game released for PlayStation Vita, it was called Sword Art Online Infinity Moment, and was released in Japan on March 14th of 2013 by Bandai Namco Games and developed by Aquaria. Aquaria does not have much fame or acknowledgement in the West. They have developed games for many anime such as Kuroko's Basketball, Sword Art Online, Mahou Sensei Negima, which means Magical Teacher Negima, Boku Natsuyasumi, which means My Summer Vacation, and a few other niche games. As the anime came out only a year before, this game was either planned in advance before the anime came out or it was a quick cash grab. Personally, I don't know which one is worse. On one hand, it is incredibly embarrassing if this game was planned. For reference, Grand Theft Auto 5 was released September 17th, 2013, the same year. Not that they are the same consoles or the same game, but if you can't develop a good game for the console you're developing for, you should either switch consoles or make a better game. On the other hand, as the anime was a huge success in both the East and West, creating a simple quick cash grab to take advantage of the fan base is scummy behavior. And part of the reason that great IPs die out. Then, the game was remastered into Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment in 2014, which added the Hollow area storyline, which was an amazing addition, by the way. It's basically makes the game like there's twice as much content and makes the game a lot better to grind with. And then finally it was remastered into SAO Hollow Fragment, and they added 2 new characters. I can't remember if they were added in Hollow Fragment or Hollow Fragment, and I'm having difficulty finding it online, but the definitive edition of this game is Hollow Fragment. So you get the most story, the best convenience additions, more characters, and a better overall feel. Unfortunately, for some fucking reason, they also beefed up the numbers and difficulty doing certain achievements. Although, browsing old online forums has showed me that these were actually later toned down in updates. Holy fuck. What in the shit could they have been? How bad could they have been for it to be toned down and still be such a meaningless fucking 100-hour long grind? Some individual implements took me actual hours to do. Currently, there are 4 other games in this series after this one, 3 of which are canon to each other. As of the time of writing this, I think a new one got added, or a recording, sorry, after I wrote this. I think a new one got added on for Hollow Alicization, like chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 5 other ones, maybe 6, but doesn't matter. 3 or 4 of which are all canon to each other. They're all in like a line. One's like kind of spin-off game. Story. The story of SAO Hollow Fragment is mediocre at best. The game begins with Kirito defeating Heathcliff like in the anime, but instead of going home, they advance to the 76th floor and everything starts to glitch out. Equipment used before this floor is now useless and corrupted, and only a certain amount of people that pass through the rift created on this floor. Now you need to progress the 100th floor and complete the game. While this premise is interesting and exactly what an SAO fan would love to play, there's literally not much else. There's almost no story, and the game focuses on the character interactions more so than the plot or characters themselves. This is not a good choice, as character interaction is not exactly Sword Art Online's strong suit in general. The characters in SAO, I'll abbreviate from Sword Art Online, I'm just going to say SAO. It's going to be SAO from now on. It means SAO Hollow Fragment specifically. It's the game I'm analyzing on, so just so you guys know. The characters in SAO do not have much depth. And usually boil down to some kind of generic personality trait or trope. This is true for the anime. This is kind of a big critique of the anime, but it's also in the games too. This is amplified by the fact that there are rom-com interactions with Kirito and the main heroines that is very, very uninteresting and tough to get through. Also, they for some reason include Silica in these scenes when she's only 12 years old, makes for a very tasteless and disgusting series of dialogue that I ended up just skipping through. There was no impact, no enjoyment, and no real meaning to any of these. If you skip these interactions, you won't really miss anything. Each character has their own arc and events, but their individual stories are so boring and garbage, and most of the dialogue between characters is a woman flirting with Kirito being aloof or super serious, and the woman either getting flustered or flirting more. There is not emotional or mental depth to any character in this game, and the few that could have, like Philia or Straya, have horrible execution. I won't spoil the modicum of a decent story the game throws at you, but Philia and Straya are the main heroines of the Hollow Zone and the main game, respectively. Actually, I don't think it's respectively. Philia is the main character of the main game, or the Hollow Zone, and Straya is the main heroine of... No, Straya is... Wait, fuck. Yeah, Philia is the Hollow Zone, Straya is the main game, sorry. You should do at least both of their character arcs if you want any sort of story payoff from the game. However, the decent idea is wasted on actual implementation. And not only do their conflicts have no stakes, they are randomly added at the very end of their stories with little to no build-up and a fairy tale ending that results in you just winning and saving the day. I won't spoil anything more about the ending. Go play if you want to, but honestly, it's just knowing that is not going to make it. It's not going to ruin it. It's not good. Anybody who is an SAO and wants to see their favorite character in a bath towel, this section is for you. I won't spoil any of the better CGs in case you want to go through the tedium of getting them yourself, just to get a picture that has far less visual fidelity and lewdness than many fan arts you could just Google. In my opinion, these are a complete waste. While a few of them are half decent, none of them are particularly interesting or revealing enough to ignite the perv in all of us. I honestly just skipped through the latter half of these because they aren't really worth it. Alright, so we're going to go into UI now. I don't know how much I have written for each one, but... Actually, no. We're going to go through each one. Okay. Main menu. Upon launching the game, you are greeted with a long intro introducing the important people that worked on the game. Obviously, the publisher Bandai Namco must go first, because they clearly did more than just funding, okaying, and rushing this game out. Yeah, makes sense. Anyways, once you get past this intro that plays literally every time you launch the game, you are prompted to select a save slot. On this screen is a big white text outlined in blue. This is accented by a blue and white background of a floating castle, Aincrad surrounded by the sky and clouds. The game doesn't tell you this, but pressing escape allows you to go back to the save select screen. No other button does this. Be careful not to delete or erase your save. If this is your first time playing the game, you will have access to new game, options, controls, and exit to desktop. The other 4 options have question marks on them. This is stupid and makes no sense, as they can either just not be there or be grayed out until you unlock them, as keeping them a mystery is not doing anything but confusing people as to what is available. The other 4 options are, I'm going to spoil them because they're not really that deep. Continue, last battle, where you fight the last boss, this is important later, multiplayer, and gallery, where you can view CGs, you pervert. The UI is usable. Each button does what it says it does, and the functionalities of each button is evident in the name. The options menu is limited, but functional. You can't really control much about the game, but you can do a few things to help with the fidelity of the game. Realistically, you should almost always have max graphics. This game was developed for a PS Vita. If your computer can't handle the game at max graphics, tuning them down is not going to do much for you. First impression. Upon clicking start, the movie is played, emulating what it would be like to enter Nerve Gear. This cutscene is pretty short and leads right into character creation. So far, pretty immersive. I like it. And then you enter character customization. The character customization in this game is very, very sparse. Not only is there not much to pick from or change other than hairstyle and the cutscenes. In the cutscenes when the characters talk to you, you're just Kirito. So I'm not really going to speak much on this as it seems to be a small afterthought. And honestly, the game doesn't really change much with this feature. The game is better played as Kirito since all the interactions and the events in this game are canonically Kirito. So it would be better to just not mess with them and keep the defaults. But if you want to, it's there, I guess. I would have preferred dev time to go literally anywhere else in this game, as it's a sort of online game with Kirito as the main character. But, whatever. After setting up your character, another cutscene plays. This cutscene is really well done and gets you interested in the story and gameplay of the game. The cutscenes are by far the game's best feature, but there aren't very many at all, and most of them are very short and spread out. Enemies are pretty basic in the game. While they do have different attributes and mechanics, most of the encounters just lead to skill spamming and original sword skill chaining. OSS. These terms I know most of you watching this have no idea what they mean. Good. I've been way too plugged into every minor detail of this game in order to effectively beat this game before I get gray hairs. Basically, the enemy design is pretty limited, with minimal differences between enemies. The small amount of variation does not lead to any difference in strategy for the enemy, as the best solution in any scenario is just to tank the hits and spam skills. If that doesn't work, leveling up a little bit is enough to make the fight easier and more doable. Gameplay. The way you play this game is pretty simple. Find enemies and kill them. There really isn't much else. There is a risk mechanic, but you can basically ignore that. I did at least. Unless you really, really want to learn it. Keep the sidestep on X or easy to use button. You use this often, as if you get a perfect dodge, you can. You can regenerate or lower your risk and generate. What the fuck did I put here? Yeah. Keep a step on X. You'll use this often, as if you get a perfect dodge, it refills this basically. Combat is dominated by using sword skills. Auto attack and burst attacks are just vastly inferior to the damage and speed of sword skills. AoE weapons are amazing, but the overall best weapon type to use for damage is dual wielding. Dual wielding is the best class. Nothing comes close at all. When it comes to damage output, dual wielding is the best. Have I said it enough times? Putting objectivity aside, feel free to choose any weapon class you like. They all feel slightly different and have different status effects. They each are better at putting objectivity aside. Feel free to choose any weapon class you like. They all feel slightly different and have different status effects they proc. But not enough to really feel like much. In my opinion, the only other class you should worry about are two-handed heavy swords. They do a lot in AoE damage, and the best one, Demon Blade Graham, I believe, gives you True Strike, which allows you to level up and spam that easier. Skills can have a variety of effects, from weapon skills that deal attack damage to necessary buff skills that increase attack, defense, or EXP gain. A lot of skills can be situational in the sense that you can buff you or your party's attack, increase attack speed, auto attack, decrease cooldown, make yourself invincible, make your party invincible, increase accuracy, and many other things. Unfortunately, you can only have a certain number of skills on your skill bar, so you need to be careful which ones you pick and what order you choose in case you bump out one for another later on. You can also use items, but most items are basically useless in this game, like most skills. Some are good situationally, but I wouldn't bank on them for the most part. You can read the descriptions and see which one you prefer in a situation, like EXP boost or increasing a certain attack, but even then stats are so, or I guess not attack, stats, which then increase attack, but stats are so negligible that it really doesn't matter. Original sword skills. Original sword skills, or OSS, are a pretty unique mechanic in Sword Art Online Rehollow Fragment. Basically, an OSS is a chain of skills that make it easier to chain skills and boost damage. Each chain in the skill increases the damage of the next skill, and this boost compounds. If you are making your own original sword skill, I would recommend you look up a guide for the best/easiest combo. You want to end with the esoteric skill, as you really can't combo out of it and it does the most damage. Meaning, by the end of this chain, you'll be doing massive damage, far more than you would without it. Because the compounding return, the first few skills don't really matter in regards to what you do, just that you can combo them easily. In order to create an original sword skill, you need to go to the hollow area into the OSS recording room. Then you get to practice chaining combos on a dummy for hours. Enjoy that. Because the timing of this combo additions is so fucking janky, this part is really hard. I would recommend chaining a smaller number of combos first if you don't want to spend hours trying to record the 10-hit original sword skill. While this does insane damage, it is equally insane to pull off. Risk. Risk is a mechanic where the more aggressive you are, the higher risk you will get. There are benefits to low risk and negatives to high risk, but both are pretty negligible when you can just combo kill most enemies to death. The shitty part about risk is that the more you use skills, which are the main way of dealing damage, the more your risk will rise. Therefore, cutting damage output. Even if you are 100 levels above your target, you can still get max risk relatively easily, which to me is dumb, but whatever. Systems. The systems in this game are not very cohesive. Each system or aspect of the game is bad to alright at best, which, with strokes of genius or different to the norm game design sprinkled throughout. I will briefly go over points of friction in different systems. These are not the only points, but some I ran across while playing and were overly annoying, so mostly the ones that stand out to me. The whole affection system has no real practical impact on gameplay. You sit there and spam one button for hours to get your heroine to high affection level. It doesn't get any stronger. Also, the partner AI is dog shit. So even if they did get stronger, there's really not much more help they could give other than just tanking. The quest system. There are many types of quests in this game, and the ones that actually called quests are so incredibly lame and unnecessary that they actively detract from the game. Most, if not all, quests are go here, get this item, or go here, kill these creatures. The unfortunate thing is that more often than should be, you need to exit an area and re-enter to re-attack, or you'd have to wait to have items spawn back in an area. So these quests are just boring, annoying, and they suck. The areas aren't very expansive. They're pretty basic layouts, and they're not fun to navigate when you just run back and forth killing monsters. Enhancing. I will combine sword crafting and enhancing into this one category. Honestly, you don't even need to craft a sword. You should be trying to get Remain's heart from Lisbeth's side quest until you can get a Saint Blade Ragnarok from the sword trials. Honestly, if you raise your level enough, the sword trials are a cakewalk. I'll show you a trial at my level and equipment in the background. I won't even use top swords, but if you have Remain's heart, it will make it much faster. Also, if you can, get Externa as well, which is super hard. Save all or most of your enhancement materials for these 3 weapons. Only upgrade these. Maybe Demon Blade Graham or your other weapon class focus, but honestly, the enhancement system is kind of shit. So I would mess with it as little as possible. Otherwise, here's a small guide to it. You can enhance a sword with Lisbeth. Doing her quest line gives you an item which makes it 2 times more effective. Wait for that. Do not enhance until you get that. Then you pump in materials to increase 1 stat on a weapon. This stat will be dependent on the type and skills that use that stat for damage calculations, which is ability skills. Swords like strength, dex, and a little agility sometimes. The other classes I'm not sure about, but you can look up if you play the game. It'll tell you what stat the weapon uses for damage calculation. There is a chance of failing when upgrading weapons. When a failure occurs, you lose your material and do not get the stat increase. Do strength for optimal damage increase. You can use a gem on a weapon to increase its probability of success. I did not do this. You should, and farming the gems isn't that difficult. The probability of a success gets smaller as the weapon level goes up. If you try to enhance another stat, the weapon will revert back to its base form, and you will lose all the levels that you've put into it. This is extremely frustrating and got me a few times when I wasn't paying attention or I didn't really notice the mechanic fully. This is not a good mechanic. If they just took out the probability, the mechanic would be much better, as most of your damage actually comes from OSS chain, original skill, or original sword skill chain, or level. It's really not that big of a damage increase anyways, so it's annoying and tedious for minimal increase. There seems to be a theme forming here. Level design. All the floors are pretty much generic. They're all the same, with you essentially doing a series of kill quests and mini-boss slaying, with the exception of floor 93. Again, this is another hint of genius cut short. There are no formal quests required for this floor boss, but it is the environment itself that is intriguing. I may be conditioned to dogshit level design for this game, but the whole level's on an incline. The beginning slopes around, giving a feeling of madness in the level. Unfortunately, this floor is by far the shortest, with you almost immediately completing it with no difficulty, and you are able to just dash through the level and reach the end. So, the one good level design they just rushed through and didn't even pad out and make it look cool. It is the best level design in the game, hands down, in my opinion. The overall level design is very poor. Walking through levels is very tedious. In the best cases, you can run through an area in the hollow area with one or two doors hindering you. Inevitably, enemies will start chasing you and you can't open a door while they're chasing you, so you have to defeat them. This just adds unnecessary time when you can only teleport to certain areas, and often you will have to pass through multiple other areas and backtrack a lot to get to your destination. There are 10 weapon types in this game. Daggers, one-handed swords, scimitars, rapiers, dual-wielding swords, which is just two one-handed swords, one-handed clubs, two-handed axe, spears, katanas, and two-handed swords. If you are just playing to just enjoy the game, it does not really matter which weapon type you choose. However, you should level all the types a decent amount to unlock the skills they provide. Not necessarily weapon skills, but the universal skills and passive skills that can be used by any class. It is extremely unfortunate that they lock these skills behind other weapon types. Each weapon type plays and feels slightly differently. Some weapons will have fast skill triggers, some will have long skill combos, do a lot more damage, and some are just better than the rest. Dual-wield swords is by far the best weapon type for pure damage, since each sword is an individual sword with both damage and status effects. Nothing can even come close. Now, that is not invalid to other types. Specifically, big two-handed swords do a lot of area of effect damage and are much better for killing groups of enemies and leveling up quickly. In particular, I use Demon Blade Graham to quickly level up to get the achievement to level up to 200, which pisses me off because Steam says it's level 150, which is far more reasonable. Going into leveling and balance, this game is broken. You're either too powerful for everything, or you get comboed to death. Without playing solo multiplayer, there's no actual fun way to grind levels, and the levels you need to complete implements and enough hollow missions are way higher than you need for the story. There's no easy or fun way to level up. You don't really get levels in the story, and the EXP system is dog shit. It's actually terrible. Instead of getting a set amount of EXP, the EXP is scaled, which is fine at a base level, but the scaling has a soft and hard cap. If you fight an enemy 50 levels higher than you, you get the same amount of EXP as fighting an enemy 20 levels higher than you. Make that make sense, please. I need to understand the thought process. Bosses don't give you lots of XP, but defeating an enemy quickly does. So fighting and defeating high-level enemies as quickly as possible is the best way to level quickly. Here in this clip, I will show you the rotation of what it's like to grind for levels. It takes hours to grind up to 200 and get the achievement. Hours. Again, theme forming. This is implementations. So this one is a pretty long section. and I may go on tangents and yell a lot because this fucking sucks. Implementations are garbage. Implementations are cancer. They are an interesting idea with an extremely shit implementation. Pun intended. Some of the best items in the game, like Crimson Gauntlets, Demon Blade Graham, and other niche items I did not use in my playthrough, are locked behind doing implements. Some implements are quick and take a few minutes and are relatively fun to do, while others may genuinely take hours. I have many gripes with this system, so I will do my best to break it down thoroughly so you can see where I'm coming from when I say I can see the greatness behind this bullshit. To start off, implements are only able to be done during holo missions. I do not understand this design, as you will probably not be in a holo mission most of the game. The goal of holo missions is to complete them. They give you holo points, which allow you to implement the implements after you unlock them by doing the challenge. While this is an example of intricate design, I would argue it is over-designed, as you already do the work by doing the challenge. Because of the very nature of some implements in the design of the game, you will be doing a lot of holo missions, meaning you will have enough points for magnitudes more than what is needed to unlock the implements, so the system itself is redundant and not of any consequence. Most holo missions are also timed, making some implements just annoying, since you have to keep exiting and re-entering the instance, which takes time. The bullshit of implements only starts from there. Implements serve as a sort of tutorial of sorts. They teach you about the core and niche mechanics of the game, but they serve well beyond their means. As I said, you can only activate one implement at a time, meaning if you do the requirements for another implement while it's not active, you do not get the credit for this. This is nonsensical and bad game design. Say I have an implement to defeat 15 H&Ms, which are, I think, high name monsters, which are basically boss monsters, and implement to beat 15 holo missions. I cannot do both at the same time, and since H&M's fights are available as holo missions, and again, you can only do an implement during a holo mission if it only makes sense to do one during one. This just ends up padding out the time to complete both holo missions. And if you're aiming for the achievement senior test player, you need to beat 100 implements. Honestly, you do not get that many choices as to what not to do. My recommendation is to do the easy ones first, and as you learn more about game mechanics, level up and get the best gear, then go for the harder ones, as they will take a fraction of the time. A lot of holo missions also have a quirk to them that makes them go by much, much quicker. You might be able to save 30 minutes on one holo mission. Notice how I said 30 minutes. Yes, they can take that long. And they're unavoidable if you want the trophy, because the alternatives are the ones that take hours. And even those are unavoidable. I want to take another time to call out some cool locations. On floor 98, the place is really cool. It is called the Red Palace, and it's essentially a reskin of other assets, but it looks much cooler. This sort of scene is only cool to me because I've played far too much of this game, and the static, boring level design leaves much to be desired. There is another cool area where the final boss is. I won't necessarily say what it is. I don't spoil, but the area is kind of cool. The final boss. The final boss is a very lame encounter. I won't spoil for those who want to play the game themselves, but it is genuinely nothing impressive at all. For one, the boss isn't used. It is literally the same boss as floor 98. And again, it is a model used throughout the game and is literally just a bigger model than them. I had no trouble dispatching the boss in one combo, and there was no particularly unique mechanics other than to deal damage to it. The finishing CGI is also extremely lame, and I feel like this whole game was a complete letdown. Nothing was fun, and there was no actual build-up or payoff at the end. You kind of just beat a boss, and there you go. You're done. I wrote this next part I wrote immediately after beating the final boss. For the sake of spoilers, I won't say any more, but the final boss is very weird. There's no build-up really at all to the events, and again, had some cool ideas, but very lackluster in execution. Maybe because I was over leveled, the game was a cakewalk. Okay, for this next part, I'm going to do a high level overview of each and every achievement in the game. This part will contain spoilers, so skip ahead, please, if you want to figure it out for yourself or don't wish to be spoiled. I will also leave timestamps in the description with messaging that'll say that this part's a spoiler. But it's going to be a very, very high level overview. I'm not going to go in depth because that could take hours to tell you how to do each one in the ideal ways, but I'm going to do an overview. Okay. This part's unscripted, so bear with me, please. I'm just going to go through a list of achievements, and then I'm going to talk about them pretty much. So enjoy, I guess. The first achievement is Beater. Complete the tutorial. 91% of players have this achievement, which is not everyone. So, I mean, it's 91% still pretty good retention rate. And then immediately this drops to the boss of the Sea of Trees area, which is the first area. 12% of players have this achievement. Actually, that might be the first Hollow mission area. Sorry, that's the next one I achieved. I want Hollow area first because it's cool. Luckily, 12.8% is insane. I mean, that's not that much. Pretty simple, straightforward. Beat a boss. The next achievement is the Floating Rock area, 8%. So the loss of player retention is insane. Going from 91% to 12.8% to 8% for the second area boss is insane. It looks a little bit better when we're talking about the floor bosses, which the Defeat the Ghastly Gaze floor boss, level 76, is the first boss that you beat for like the main story. Not much to talk about for any of these. For the most part, I'm really going to skip over them and just say that they're bosses because they're not that interesting or good. I'll point out the ones that are interesting and good bosses. So yeah, level 77 was the next one. And then multiplayer mode time exceeds 20 hours. The fact this is my next achievement shows you that these achievements are not related to each other at all. You will spend more than 20 hours in this if you want to actually grind levels. I think for this one, I just opened it up and let it sit there because I didn't know at the time that I would get there naturally. But yeah, pretty simple. Honestly, not super hard to get. 2.3%. I don't know why it's so low when it's easy to get. I guess no one wants to keep their fucking game open for 20 hours. But yeah, the Cove area, 6.6% of players. That's just another boss. All these are bosses. 478 keeps dropping. POH is another boss. Yeah, not very interesting. You just fight an enemy. He's a character, he's a player. Great Void area, 5.9%. Okay. The Flash is the first one where it's really fucking tough. I don't know how 6.3% of players have done that, but only 5.9% defeated the boss in the Great Void area. And fucking multiplayer, actually even the Cove area boss. I don't know how people are dedicated enough to fucking sit there and spam circle forever this early. Whatever. Pretty straightforward. I think I talked about it in the review. You just talk to them, get these little music notes that increase their affection, or you can fight with them and you can also encourage them, and that gives, when they do the moves that you want to do, there's like a training system, but it's honestly pretty dog shit and not worth talking about. There's tutorials online about that whole system, but for this point, it doesn't really matter. But you get notes for that as well, but it's not very efficient. So the best way to do it is to just talk to them in like town, and when they have like a different colored note above their head, and get a lot of affection. And then once you reach level 4, you want to carry her into your room, and then you get CGIs, and then if you're carrying her, it's like level 5, and no, this is different. This is affection. So yeah, you just do the hearts until you max it out. Yeah, Asuna, Leafa, and Sinon, yeah, basically they're all just the same. The boss, Otherworld area, same thing. Their boss, Master Macer, Lizbeth, same with the other ones. Just talk to her a fuck ton. I think I just grinded these out because they were so annoying and ass, and I really, really wanted to get it done with because they were just not. I was not gonna do it after I beat the game, where I have nothing to look forward to, basically. More bosses. The control area boss. Defeat the boss. The control area is another boss. Beat Shadow Kirito. I don't actually remember this one. Um, Hollow Kirito. Are these in order? He might be the last boss of an area. It's a special boss, so that one's pretty interesting. I might add an addendum in here when I load the game up and I look up how to do it again, but I forgot how to encounter him. Not really like that exciting or thrilling. I think he's the same equipment as you or something. Thank you for playing that dumb achievement. I don't know fucking why they want you to play 100 hours of the game to get an achievement for beating it in 100 hours. It's not a 100-hour worthy game. Trust me, it's not. But I spent 300 in there, so there's that. As you can see, after that, I did Silica and Philia because they were so ass. I stopped halfway through and it was like, I'm going to fucking beat the game. I think Hollow Kirito actually might be one of the last bosses. Ugh. Okay. Actually, no, it's not true because I don't know why it says game cleared with playtime exceeding 100 hours when I was on floor 78. I don't. Maybe that was the Hollow area game. I don't know. No, I don't think it was that. I just think I don't even know. But yeah, 79, 479, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. Just more floor bosses. I just rush those. I think, as you can see, it's like maybe an hour or so between each floor. To do that, not that difficult. Lisbeth Smithy Shop, upgrade up to 200 times. I would say that for the end. I wouldn't try to get that early because again, upgrading weapons can be very resource intensive, and grinding for those resources can be incredibly taxing and annoying. So I wouldn't do that to the end. But at the end, you can really just spam it back and forth whenever because you're not going to really use 200 times to make your weapons better. I think max is like 10 or 15. So each weapon, which the three you might want to upgrade is Remains Heart, Lisbeth's quest line, Externa, and Saint Blade Ragnarok or Demon Blade Graham. That's not enough to get you to 200 because they all have plus 15 max. So just get a bunch of shitty weapons or ones. There's ones. Each weapon has like a certain number of times they can upgrade. I forgot to mention that. So I would just take one that has like 30 upgrade slots and just spam it back and forth or whatever, and upgrade it. It doesn't matter if you reset the level at all. You just gotta do the action 200 times. So pretty straightforward. Floor 86, floor 87, floor 88, 49, 90, 91, 92, 93. Those are all those floor bosses. Pretty straightforward. Like just beat the boss. Billionaire, save 100 million coal. Yeah, that one's kind of fucking ass. Basically, save that one for the end too. Don't try to rush that. I would say. When you beat the game, you can just sell your weapons. I wouldn't sell the good ones if you want to play the game ever on that save file because they're hard to re-get again. But you can just sell extra weapons and items whenever you can. You'll eventually reach that just by playing the game. 94, 95 boss. Kirito reaches level 150. I think, if I remember correctly, it took me level 200 is the actual thing. So they're lying to you here. You don't actually, it's 200. That one's fucking sucks. You really have to just grind the golems over and over again for hours at higher levels. Make sure you're always getting max XP. You take an XP potion, and then you have armor and stuff you can get, or wings you can wear to boost your XP gain. I would do all of that because that's 200. A level 200 takes a long time. That's why it's one of the last achievements I got, even though the rest of the ones, if you'd rush that, they get the rest of them, I guess, faster, some of them. Complete 100 implements. Notice how that's 2% of players. At this point, these are only achievement hunters. I'm surprised that, honestly, so like 2%'s around the same for all the last few achievements, because I feel like anybody, if you're gonna get that achievement, you're getting the rest. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. I don't know how, but that is the single longest taking achievement in this list. I think it just takes fucking forever to do that one. You have to just, because they all could individually take hours. Most of the achievements so far, like level 200, takes a few hours, 4, maybe 8 max. I don't know how efficient it would be. It's been a while since I grinded that, so I'm not really sure. Um, but it was quite a while. It was many days of me just sitting there. I really waited till the end because I was doing other things, and you level up as you do implement other stuff. I did it very inefficiently. Um, if anybody's interested in making a guide for what I think is some of the most efficient ways to do things, because that would help for the achievement guides, I could do that. Depends on how interested you guys are in that, but that would take me a long time because there's so much depth and complexity. And honestly, I'm not even. One of the things I appreciate about this game is the complexity and depth of the implements, in the sense that they use their shit systems to the most. So they're max shit, but you also have max things that could make the time quicker or more efficient grinding levels if you know what you're doing. Because it's just so dumb, but whatever. That one was not fun. Trust me, implements can take hours. Some of them take like 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Some take like a minute, but some might take hours to do. Yeah, they're not fun. You need 100 of them. I think it's like 126 or total. I think implements. So you get to pick and choose to a certain extent. But to be honest, it's not. It doesn't feel as freeing as it really is because you're gonna have to do ass ones regardless. You just gotta figure out which ones are least ass, which ones are more effective. If you know how to do one, and you can visualize yourself doing it, I'd recommend just doing it, even if you think it takes forever. Because I promise you, avoiding that one is not gonna help you. And you really have to complete the trees from every implement tree to get this. So really, you don't really just get to avoid them. And because you have to do ones earlier to unlock later ones. Later ones could be a lot quicker than earlier ones sometimes, depending on what the implement is. I can go over this. Might add in a section after this to go over in the game each one or some implements just to show you some examples. But right now I'm looking at the list. So this game is not for fun. That achievement is true. This game is not for fun. It's not fun. Killing 108 monsters is not for fun. You gotta go multiplayer, which is basically separate. Again, bosses don't get that much XP. So I really would recommend that you grind to level 150 or 200 first. 200 before you do this one, so you can get certain weapons like Externa maxed out. So because these ones can kill you, especially if you're getting bored and don't want to grind the same one. You can do like a cycle of them. They spawn in, so you can do a cycle of them and just go through, kill them, and fight them. And you might get bored after like 50 of the same fucking one, so you want to fight better ones. Or just, you could do this as you grind for items, like drops from them. So, yeah, level up first, get the best weapons, so it just makes your time quicker for any of them. And some of them can kill you quickly, so having good, potions and stuff, items and stuff. Floor 96, 97, 98, I was just pretty much... yeah, this next one, beta tester, that one you have to be careful for. If you watch any part of the achievements and you care about them, this is important. If you do not get the last attack bonus of any boss, you cannot go back and fight that boss. You have to restart the game. Meaning, if you do not play the game with this intentionally in the back of your mind while you're fighting these bosses, you're fucked. You cannot get this achievement unless you play the game and go through the entire story again. So make sure this only counts for floor bosses, I'm pretty sure. They gave you last attacking bonuses. The items are alright. They're not that good. Some of them are decent. If you're doing just the main game, I guess they could be good. But for the most part, items you're going to get are going to be ground through implements and hall area bosses rather than last attacking bonuses. But you need to do this with achievement. My recommendation is when you're fighting a boss, when you're close, like a OSS skill chain, which we can get into later, or if you're like just have like a few skills hit of killing it, you need to order your people to retreat. They need to retreat because they will fuck it up. They will not listen. You gotta spam retreat. Don't make sure they're not close to dying. So like maybe like the last 1/4 of the health bar, just solo it, because people die, and one of the bosses does not have anybody die, which is the main character list. But so it doesn't really matter if it's like people in your party. I don't think I had anybody die. Maybe a few people because they're fucking stupid and they just under-leveled. Which you can level them, but that's not important for any of this. For the achievements. And it's not worth doing, honestly, leveling up the auxiliary characters that are random name people. It's not worth it. But make sure you get last hit in every time. You can tell because if your partner runs in, which you need a partner for each battle, I don't think you need a partner. At some point, either solo it or do whatever, because they're frustrating. The AI will repeatedly not listen to you, to ignore your calls to retreat. So you gotta spam it sometimes. But this one sucked. This one's not fun. It's scary, and the saving is weird in this game. So if you beat a boss, it might autosave and fuck you over. So make sure you're intentional about this achievement. If you want to get 100%, this one is missable. 99 boss, final boss on floor 100. I think Yuki's after that if you do a certain thing. And then Yuki's, she's an optional boss if you, I think, I forgot her unlock requirements, I'm sorry. But she's pretty easy too. After floor 100 boss. And then when you do that, you complete the game without any one of your lead group dying. This is important. You might want to kill these little fucks, these girls that are just annoying and suck and ass, but you can't, because if you do, you will have to deal with this achievement not being popped. So make sure in main cast, the girls who get achievements for maxing out their levels, and the other basic SAO main characters as well, you're gonna want to just make sure that you don't let them die. Complete gallery lists. You just gotta do all the girl quests, max out all of their affections. This is way after everything. You gotta get CGIs with them laying in bed, so you basically gotta max up their mood. Basically, is a different thing than affection. It's fucking dumb. You just talk to them nice to level 4 mood, and then you carry them up the stairs, and you don't stop moving when you walk into your bed. So you stop moving, you put her down. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But I have no idea why they do that. But don't drop them before you get to bed, and then you interact with the bed, and you put them on there, and you lay with them and get a CGI. It's cool. And then you also gotta do their quests, do all the hidden quests and stuff, which you can kind of see if you. I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how to do it in the background video while I'm talking about it. But if you do the background quests, everything you should have all CGIs. There are a few that are missable. So you got to make sure before you go to the next floor, this one you also got to keep in mind that you do all the character quests, all the blue quests, all the pink quests, everything. Talk to every main girl. Make sure that if any of them have a exclamation point over their head, you do that quest. In particular, I think Elizabeth has one quest that takes place over the course of 5 floors. It's unlocked on floor 90 or something. So just before, and you have to do it each floor. So if you get to 496 and you start her quests, you can't complete that gallery list or her quest line. So just make sure, and because for some reason they just, each new floor they reset that. I don't know why. It's a dumb choice, but whatever, it's missable. So just make sure that you always do it. If you want to get the achievements, always do everything before you go to the next floor. And then the next achievement, I don't know why. Well, let's just say in proc time, which was my last achievement. So I got complete debug and clicked all achievements. Complete debug. Oh my god. This one, the description is so fucked up. So complete debug is basically you have to do near every hollow mission in the game. I would recommend this one you also keep track of. You put a list of every hollow mission you've done, or a list of every hollow mission, and you mark off the list you've done. If you don't do this, like me, it's going to be a headache later on having to redo all the ones you've already did because you're not sure if you've done it already. Because you might do one and end halfway through, and you might think you beat it or not think you beat it, and you might not pop the achievement, and you might have done everything else but that quest, hollow mission. You have no idea why you're not doing it. So I would recommend keeping a list so you can keep track of them because there's so fucking many. And I forgot the exact number, but you have to do damn near every hollow mission. This one it's not as tedious. It's second in tediousness only to implementations. If you plan it correctly, the ideal walkthrough, technically you can do this achievement with the other implementations because you're doing hollow missions during implementations, so you can kind of just knock those out at the same time depending on what implementation you have left. But sometimes you can't synchronize those because the implementation is a certain hollow mission that you don't complete or whatever. But regardless, that's the last one, and the achievements are not fun. There's a reason why 1.6% of players, again close to 2%, have unlocked all achievements, because it's fucking difficult and it's time sink and it's not fun. Yes, that's the achievement section. Sorry for the rant. Overall, my rating for this game I'd probably give it a 3 out of 10, which I think is very generous to this game. I think there are some people who will really enjoy this game. Very small amount of people. Some who will enjoy it. And if you love SAO with your heart, mind, body, and soul, you might like this game. I'm an SAO fan. I have seen most of the movies and all the TV shows, and I love it. Got figures for SAO. It was my favorite. Also knows my waifu for a little bit, and I just really enjoyed it. I just don't think this particular game is the one to play, even as a fan. There are other games in this series I'm going to review later, which are better. Like the next one, Lost Song, is a better game. Not amazing, but I'm not going to advertise it. But just a hint for you guys, I've also 100% that game, so I'm going to be on that soon. The review, hopefully soon after this one. But this game is, not good. If I had one word for this game, I would say a needle or a gem, like a little. Think of a needle, right? A diamond needle in a house filled of hay made of shit. So a diamond needle lost in a haystack of shit. That's what this game is like. There's nice things that you learn to enjoy about the game, like the process of these implementations, learning the systems, and like the graphics and all that shit. But overall, not a good game. Feels like a cash grab. It feels like a lot of the level design and the enemy design is very basic. They're all iterations of each other. There's too many levels. Honestly, if they split the levels in half, it would have been better. I know they wanted to do level 76 onward as the anime ends at 75, but it was kind of a waste of time because each level was so boring and not fun to get through, and the quests you have to do to complete each floor is not good. The whole area story was all right, but again, that was a different setup. There's like 4 or 5 areas ish, so they all kind of, you got time to like. It's not good still, but it's better than the level design of the floors, we'll say. So if you take the hollow area itself, I kind of would say it bumps up to like a 4 or 5, maybe. No, not 5. It can't be 5. 5's average. 4 maybe. But if you like ignore the main game, but you kind of have to take everything with as it is. And honestly, I'm kind of hesitant to rate a game over a 3. My scale is not very established. This is my personal scale, but I'm hesitant to rate over 3 when the tutorial drops from 91% to 21% for the first floor boss. That's the drop-off rate. That's 70% exactly of the player base dropped off between the tutorial. First of all, 9% didn't even pass the tutorial, which is honestly not a bad thing. Not a bad number for a lot of games. A lot of games have lower than that. But 21% is astronomically low for the first mission. It takes like an hour to do. And then the first area for the hollow mission, in this game specifically being 12.8%, that's also kind of sucks. Like, that drop-off is almost 80% of the players just never get to the first hollow area boss or beat it. And you kind of see the drop off gets less as it go on, because honestly, if you get to there, you're gonna keep playing the game. I don't agree with it, but it makes sense because the game is not fun to play. So that's my analysis on Sword Art Online Rehollow Fragment. Let me know if you have any opinions or ideas in the comments below. I know I was pretty harsh in this game, like I was pretty harsh on Arena, but to be fair, they are kind of shit games. I don't want shit Arena on this video, but if you like it and you enjoy it and you have something you want to tell me that I'm left out, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions, and I would love to hear if you've played the game or want to play the game. Honestly, don't let any review ever dissuade you from playing a game you want to play. Unless you're tight on money, definitely don't buy this game. This game, if it's on sale for $6, maybe buy it. But if it's not, do not buy this game. Do not buy this game. But if you want to play it just because, go ahead. Everyone has their own enjoyment. There's definitely things to be enjoyed in this game. You know, if you're an SAO fan, just kind of feel fun to get in the world a little bit, talk to the characters. I honestly don't like the way that he writes characters. I think they're pretty not deep at all, and they're all just simps for Kirito. But teach their own. Maybe find your waifu in here. Hopefully it's not Silica, you perv. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I love making these videos. I know it's been so long since the last one. Hopefully not as long for the next one. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Really do. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to see more videos, subscribe. If I really also want to leave a comment or leave a note at the end of this video for anybody watching. I don't know who's gonna finish it, but I really appreciate the comments on the last video. It really brought, I don't want to say tears to my eyes, but like it really affected me. Like even the bad ones saying they didn't like a certain part of the video. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your opinions. And I really, really think it really makes me feel good knowing that these people are watching these and they're hearing and they're learning about games and my opinion on games. And if you think I can do better, if they have an opinion on my commentary, let me know. I want to know. I really do. I also really like making these videos. I like analyzing games. I like talking about games. I like discussing them because it's my passion. So thank you guys.